Hello everybody, it's Mary Jane and it's Saturday afternoon, 17th of November, and I chose to do a live today to talk about comfort zones. A few reasons for that. Today is one calendar month since I moved to Spain, and the region of Spain in which I'm living is one where there are a few non-Spanish around. There's some Dutch and Belgians, French, Italian, and a very few British people. But it is a predominantly Spanish area, and people speak Spanish and not English or anything else, which has been challenging at times. The language, probably the biggest barrier we have here, living here. And it's, you know, my Spanish has come on immensely in 30 days. But every day, everything is a challenge in terms of communicating, getting a message across, trying to get what you want. And we've also had to make some quite big purchases, not even everyday things that you'd purchase in England. Things like a new washing machine and a new bed, firewood, a ton of firewood, things like that. So yes, it's been challenging, and the beauty of it is here is that people are pretty much exclusively lovely. So when you meet someone, even if they don't speak a word of English and they can't really understand your Spanish, because then they're kind and they're friendly, it does make it a whole lot easier, it has to be said. But I thought it made me think about comfort zones and how we spend a lot of our life living within our comfort zone, don't we? We go to the same job, we see the same people, we mix with the same type of people who have common interests. You know, we tend to live in a bubble of life that is just pretty comfortable. And every now and again we have to step outside that, and that might be, that might be because we have to do something physically demanding, which is beyond where we feel physically comfortable. That might be jumping over a fast-flowing stream, or it might be bungee jumping, or it might just be going to a yoga class and having to wear yoga pants, or it might be more emotionally, and it tends to be that it's more emotionally challenging. But even so, very similar, isn't it? We have to stand up and give a talk at work, or we have to go to meet new people in a new situation that we don't know anybody. We have to go and buy something technical that we don't really have that technical knowledge. So all the time we're faced with things that make us uncomfortable. Yesterday I took the plunge and booked a haircut, which I had today, so new hair. And to be honest, I didn't really know what I was going to end up with because I just kind of let her do it. So I managed to communicate a bit with the hairdresser. But, you know, hair is quite a big thing. Even my husband, who has a number one, he had his hair cut this week, and for him it was a really big achievement. You know, he'd gone to the barber, got his hair cut, got what he wanted, managed to have a bit of a conversation, you know, and we're marking off these successes every day. Things that in England you think, well, getting a haircut, you know, that's not a big deal. But of course, in a new country, you don't really know what you're doing. Everything can be a bit of a challenge. So yeah, it's good fun. But and every day we're pushing our comfort zone quite a bit more. And every time we do that, then it expands it, and then the things that were hard a week ago are now easy. And that's life, you know, that's not just moving abroad, that's day-to-day life wherever you live, the more you push. And I really often see or talk to my practitioners that I've trained. Just last week I spoke to someone and she said, oh, I really want to go and do this stuff, I'd love to go and do this, you know, young people's group, but you know, I don't have the confidence yet. And I said, well, when will you have the confidence? She said, well, I don't know. You know, do you need to do another 4 training courses? Do you need to read another 3 books? Do you need to see another 55 clients? Or do you just need to go and do it now? And we stop ourselves doing stuff because we don't feel confident, or we don't think we've got the skill set, or whatever. And if I hadn't done anything, if I'd stayed in my comfort zone here in Spain, well, my hair would look frightening. And we probably would have managed to eat, because you can always go to a supermarket, but we certainly wouldn't have gone to the market or the butcher's or the bread shop or a cafe, or done any of the things we've done. We'd be freezing because we wouldn't have firewood. 3 weeks ago we had water gushing out the back of our boiler, so I had to look up, Google Translate is my new best friend. I had to look up, I have water gushing out of the back of my boiler, ring the engineer and have this conversation in Spanish. And he turned up and he fixed it, so we have a nice warm house. But, you have to step out of your comfort zone every day. We're having to do that. Beginning of the week, we were walking. Someone who lives 2 villages away stopped her car, had a little chat. She knew exactly where we lived, because we're the newcomers. And she invited us round to drinks at her house this evening. So she certainly speaks no English. I don't know if her husband does, but we're expecting that we're going to have to go for drinks and speak in Spanish. It might be quite a short drinks party, but that's fine. And it's just pushing your comfort zone, because you can't, you choose, don't you? Do I live as a hermit and never do anything? Or do we just take every opportunity that's presented? Before I moved here, I made a decision that every invitation, as I said to my husband, on the basis it wasn't involving folk dancing or incest, that's what my dad would have said. Every invitation that we're offered, I accept. We just say, yes, we'll do that. Whatever it is, if we don't like it, we don't have to go back. And it's proved so far, we've been here 1 month, we've met a lot of people, Spanish and foreigners as well. Met some lovely, everybody's been lovely. We've been to some great places, it's been amazing. It's been fascinating, but it's also challenging. And when you challenge yourself, step outside your comfort zone, be warmed, it's tiring. So I go to bed every night absolutely shattered, with my head absolutely crammed full of the 150 new Spanish words I heard today, and my brain's just whirring away. So that does go on, and it's hard living in that whole language thing as well. But it'll get easier, and it's already easier. So things that 3 weeks ago were hard are now fine, that's okay. And that's what happens when you push your comfort zone. So whether you're a practitioner, whether you're just living your day-to-day life and thinking, oh yeah, this is a bit dull, I need to do something new, or I'd really love to go and do that. I speak to so many people and I say, why don't you go, I think a yoga class would really suit you, or I wouldn't go on my own. It's like, really? Why not? Why not? Why just pitch up? If you hate it, you don't ever have to go again. But we're really held back on things. I think the biggies are what other people would think of us. Whether we might do something wrong, whether we won't fit in, I think they're the things that really hold us back. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, well, when does that happen? How does that come about? Because when you're born, you are not born worried what anyone thinks of you, are you? You're not born thinking I mustn't cry because, that might cause adverse attention to myself. You're born, and if you're hungry, wet, or just want to cuddle, or got a pain, then you'll cry. That's how life is. But this evolves, doesn't it? Really young, we take on all these belief and behavioural patterns that then limit us quite a lot, I think, as we get older. And I think the biggies are often around, what will people think of me? Will people like me? So a lot about fitting in and being part of something. I think that's important for humans. And I think in ancient times that probably was really important, because we lived as tribes, and your tribe was really important because they helped keep you safe. So as a tribe together, you were kept safe. So, some people would have gone off and got the food and done the hunting, and some people would have gathered the berries and the nuts. Some people would have cooked it, some would have looked after the kids. If a neighbouring tribe came and invaded, then there would have been people who would have kept you safe. So the whole idea of being part of a tribe, I think, you know, that runs really deep in the human psyche. I think that comes from ancient times, and we like to feel we belong and we fit in, and that makes us feel safe, or we think it makes us feel safe. But actually, I do think we can feel safe without that belonging feeling. I mean, certainly here in Spain, I don't feel particularly like I belong to any community at this stage. It's too early, but I don't feel unsafe either. You know, I feel very content. I've probably felt happier here for the last 4 weeks, even on bad days when the boiler's spurting out water, you know, than perhaps I had done for a long time in the UK. And I think that's also because I quite like the excitement, the adventure, and pushing the comfort zones. You know, let's get out there and do new things. I think I quite like that too. Okay, so it occurred to me that we take on this stuff when we're young. And I think a lot of it is often around going to school. So you probably can't actually remember your first day at school. If you can, it's likely that it's because you've been told about it. So maybe your mum said, oh, on your first day of school you clung on and wouldn't let go, or on your first day at school you ran in and were happy as anything, whichever. But it's not that likely. And in fact, if I can just find it, that just reminded me. There's a picture of me on my first day of school. I was just 4 with my dog, who's almost as big as me. If you can see that, the light's shining. There I am in my school uniform with the blazer about 6 sizes too big. That's me on my first day at school. And I found that recently and I thought, oh, I don't know why it resonated, and I thought I'm going to keep that there. But first day of school is a biggie. So it's often about separation. The first time you're separate from your primary caregiver, usually your parents, especially your mum. But it can also be first day at nursery. I remember I used to go to 2 different nursery schools, and one I liked and one I really didn't like. And the one I didn't like, I actually got stuck down the loo there once. I have done some tapping on that because that was quite a big thing. And I think that caused me all sorts of digestive problems later. But there was something about that falling down the loo and being laughed at, or feeling like I was laughed at. Then if you were little and ever had a hospitalisation, so if you're over probably 30, 35 and you ever went to hospital as a little child, chances are you were left there in hospital, and your parents were allowed to visit daily. Now, of course, children go to hospital and there's a bed for mum or dad to sleep next to them and they're not left alone. But that's massive, you know, that you think of the whole idea of hospitalisation. So A, you're ill and you're probably in pain. B, you know, you're likely to have some sort of surgical procedure. C, your parents aren't there. D, you're surrounded by other sick kids. You know, there's tons of different stuff, you know, potentially going on for you when you have an early hospitalisation. So I think often our limiting beliefs that then hold us back and keep us in our comfort zone when we're older often stem from separation when we're young. You might have a different take on that, and I would love to hear that. That's just what occurs to me, is that it's about being separated from usually your mum, maybe your dad, maybe your siblings, or maybe a sibling being separated from you, maybe a sibling going to hospital could cause a whole belief system. Or an older sibling going away to school or uni, or, you know, something happening to them. So it can cause all sorts of beliefs to be set up. But I think separation is often a really big one for people who, you know, who feel anxious in certain situations. So I wanted to do a little tapping session today. If you're faced at the moment, so in your life right now, maybe there's a situation that something you'd love to do. There's something you'd really like to do. So you'd love to go to that new yoga class, but you just don't quite have the nerve, or you really want to join in with the mums at the school gate who always seem to be having the best laugh because they look like they're quite fun people, but you don't quite have the confidence to step in and integrate there. Or you want to apply for a new job, or you want to go out and meet a new man, or you want to leave the person you're with, or, you know, whatever it is. So there's something you feel really quite drawn to doing, and it might be a small thing, big thing, doesn't matter. Maybe you want to emigrate to Spain. Recommend it, it's fun. So just think about the thing that you'd like to do and that you're feeling at some level held back from. And you know, if you're truly honest with yourself, you know you're making excuses. Oh, well, I don't have the experience. You know, they wouldn't want me anyway. I don't know enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not slim enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not whatever enough you're not. Just sit with that, because you know that's an excuse. You know that's not true, because you're just you. You're your own unique person, like everybody else, and you're just yourself. So just sit with that feeling. If you want to close your eyes and really tune in to the feeling of what you want to do but you feel you can't, and just see what comes up for you. What's coming up when you think about that? What's the emotion? Might be fear, might feel nervous, intimidated, whatever the feeling is with that, that's fine. Just sit with that feeling. Give yourself permission, just for a moment, you're going to sit with that feeling. And just notice if there is somewhere in your physical body that you feel that feeling. Might be all over. It might just be throat, chest, stomach. Those are common, sometimes head, but it could be in your big toe. It's not a problem. Just notice where you're feeling. Just start to tap on the outside of your hand here. If you don't know the tapping points, I'll talk you through them. But also I'll be doing them as well, so you can copy. Just sit with that feeling, notice where it is, tap on the top of your head, and give yourself permission to feel uncomfortable. And I want you to give that feeling a scale. I want you to give it a number out of 10, 10 being the worst it could possibly be. So if the thought of going and mixing with that group of trendy young mums at the school gate is a 10 out of 10, even though you think you'd get on really well with them and have a really good laugh, then sit with that, 10 out of 10. Where do you feel it? What's the feeling? Tap on the inside of the eyebrow, just noticing the feeling. Tap on the outside of the eye. Just be conscious of what's going on. And tap under the eye. Tapping under the nose, don't forget to breathe. Tapping under the mouth. Tapping under the collarbone. Tapping under the arm, keeping your awareness on that feeling of discomfort and where it is. The name of the emotion. You may find that it changes, that's okay. Tap across the wrist. And then we're going to tap next to each fingernail in turn. We start at the thumb, tap here, and then we tap on each finger. Just noticing the feeling. Okay. If it's still quite a high number, I want you just to pause and just go back and do that round of tapping again, keeping your focus on the emotion and the location of the emotion. If you're down below a 5, I just want you to do this. Just sit with the feeling, the discomfort, the emotion, and I want you to tap at about 1/3 of the speed you were on the top of your head, right on the crown of your head. Close your eyes, sit with that feeling, and you're going to just say to your subconscious mind, when did I feel like this before? Now you might get an age, so you might have a number pop into your head. You might get an image or a memory. It might just be a snapshot, like the photo I showed you of me first day of school. It might be something like that, or it might be an actual memory. But you'll get something, and trust that your subconscious will tell you where to go. Okay. Okay, and when you've got that place, well, if it's an age, so let's say you got 12. Okay, you got 12 years old. Just sit with that feeling of 12 years old, and I'm going to ask you some questions and just see what pops into your head, and trust whatever comes up is whatever needs to. Where were you when you were 12 years old? Don't think this with your rational mind. What was happening when you were 12 years old? Were you at school? Were you at home? Were you at somewhere else? Were you inside or were you outside? Who was there? And what happened? And you might have to pause just between those questions just to get that image into your head. But that should enable you to get a memory. Okay. So if you just had a little snapshot of your younger self, that's absolutely fine. Or if you had an absolute memory with quite a lot of clarity, or even a bit vague, that's not a problem. Okay, I just want you to close your eyes and take yourself back to that younger self. So there she is, or he is. Just see your younger self feeling those emotions. Those same feelings that you feel now when you don't want to do something new, but you do, but you don't, because you can't, because you haven't got the confidence. You're not ready. Okay, and just tap as though on your younger self. Imagine your little younger self feeling those feelings. Just tap on those feelings. Notice where they are in the body. Whatever happened that day, might have been the first day at school, might have been a day at school someone said something, might have been a day at home, might have been something your brother or your sister said, or your mum or your dad, or your neighbour, might have been something a total stranger said. Just tapping through the points, talk you through them, top of the head, inside the eyebrow, outside the eye, under the eye, under the nose. Just sitting with that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling that you had on that day when you were younger, under the mouth. Noticing where you feel the feeling, and maybe giving it a number from 1 to 10. Tapping under the collarbone, tapping under the arm, noticing the feelings, giving yourself permission to sit with it. Tapping across your wrist. And you might have some wisdom for your little self, your younger self. So you might think, gosh, if only I could tell them it's going to be okay. It was all right. It all worked out okay. Then do it. Tell them. Say what you'd say to someone of that age. What would you say to your little self who's feeling all that emotion? Tap next to the thumb. Be kind, be compassionate, and just say to them what you'd like to say. Tapping next to the forefinger. And each finger in turn until you get back to the side of the hand. And I really like this point on the back of the hand between the little finger knuckle and the ring finger. Just go down at that point on the back of the hand. It's a really nice point. That's a nice one to tap on when you imagine what you'd say to your little self. Okay, so just check in. What's the emotional level now for your younger self in that memory? How are they feeling? There's probably still some intensity. We've only done one round of tapping. So we'll do another one. Just tune in again. What are they feeling now? Because it might have changed. They might have started off feeling lack of confidence or a little bit scared, but now they might be angry. And that's absolutely fine because our emotions go in layers. So we sort of peeled off the outer layer and now you've got a different emotion underneath, and that's absolutely fine. Tune into the new emotion. What are you feeling? What's going on? Where do you feel it in your physical body? Tap on the top of the head. Close your eyes, tune in. Is there anything you'd like to say to your little self? Tap on the inside of the eyebrow. Tap on the outside of the eye. Tap under the eye. What would be helpful for he or she to know that they didn't know then and you know now? Tap under the nose and under the mouth and under the collarbone. That's it. Good. Tapping under the arm. Just keeping your awareness. What's going on, what the emotion is. Notice if it's changed. As I said before, it's not a problem if it changes. Tap across the wrist. Tap next to the thumbnail. Really, you're just tapping on that little version of yourself as well. That young version. Each finger in turn until you get back to the outside of the hand, and then just sit there, take a big breath. Tune in to what's going on now. When you think back to that earlier memory, does that feel as bad? Now you've had some wisdom from your adult self as well. How does it feel now? Does it feel okay? A bit better? A bit easier? Okay. If it still feels like there's some intensity, maybe higher than a 4, pause now and just do another round. Try and get the intensity down to a 2, 3 or even lower. Okay. And now I'm going to take you through a little exercise, so we're not going to tap. I just want you to close your eyes and I want you to see that younger version of yourself. And I want you to give them a gift. And the gift might be a cloak of superpowers, or it might be the gift of confidence, or it might be the gift of adventurousness, or it might be something else altogether. Doesn't matter. Give them a gift that would have really helped them back then in the past. And if it's a cloak of superpowers, then they can put it on. They can be whichever superpower they want to be. If it's gift of confidence, then maybe allow them to put that gift of confidence into their heart and allow that to infuse every single cell of their body. Or if it's adventurousness, the same thing. Let's put adventurousness in their arms and their legs so that they can do anything. And just allow that feeling to really permeate every cell, all of the trillions of cells of your younger self. And now I want you to hold hands with your younger self. And with them, I want you to imagine stepping into that situation that we started with. Remember where we began, that situation that you felt uncomfortable in your current life doing. Whether it's a new job, getting on a dating site, going to a weight loss club, whatever it is, moving to a new country, learning a language, anything. Take your younger self and their new superpower, whatever it is, step in and imagine yourself doing that thing. Just see yourself doing that thing. It might just be building a website, getting yourself a Facebook page and promoting your business. Might be giving a talk or a demo, doing a Facebook Live, whatever it is. See yourself doing it and you're infused with all those superpowers that you gave your little one as well, and they're with you. And just see how that feels. Play it out in your mind. You're really doing it. See yourself really doing it. Feel it. How does it feel? How does it feel to really do it? You walk into that room, to that brand new yoga class. You enjoy that class. You don't think all the way through it about what anyone else is thinking of you. You just enjoy it. You love it. You walk out, you feel supple, flexible, calm. You can come back next week. Focus on that feeling. Focus on the outcome, the feeling that you want to feel at the end. And infuse that. Imagine that feeling permeating all through your body, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, tips of your fingers. And you're going to send that feeling out beyond your physical body, into your energy field, all the way around you. And beyond that, you're going to send it out to the universe in every direction. And you're going to send it up and down your timeline. You're going to send it back to all those younger versions of you that had that same feeling. Oh, I can't do that because. You're going to send it back to all of them. And there might be a lot of them. Send it back, send it back, send it back. And you're going to send it forwards up your timeline to all those future versions of you that might have that thought, oh, I can't do that because. Just send it out there. Let's get that feeling out there. And see yourself expanding. So if the first thing was to give a talk to 4 people, see yourself in a month's time giving a talk to 8 people, and then in 2 months' time to 12, and then to 16, and then to 20, and then to 50, and then to 100. And then see yourself in Wembley Arena in 2 years' time giving a talk to a packed arena. And if that brings up emotion, oh, I can't because, a round of tapping. Let's do that now because something will have come up. Outside of the hand, top of the head. All those limitations, oh, I can't do that because. Inside of the eyebrow, what will people think of me? Outside of the eye, I won't be who I really am. Under the eye, what will my friends and family think? Under the nose, I can't do that. Under the mouth, I should be seen and not heard. Under the collarbone, maybe I shouldn't be seen or heard. Under the arm, all those beliefs that come up from your childhood, across the wrist. And next to each nail in turn. And you can repeat this as often as you can. It'd be really helpful. So that memory we went back to, there will have been more than one belief in that event, and there'll be loads of other memories where you made other beliefs. So you're walking around, you are a walking belief system, walking around, and some of your beliefs serve you really well. I believe it's not good to put my hand on a hot oven because I'll burn it. Good belief, you know. I believe it's not good to walk in front of a moving car. Also a good belief. However, nearly all of our beliefs actually serve to not keep us safe. They just serve to limit us as we become adults. They kept us safe back then, and the belief you made once served you really well, but it doesn't serve you now. So you can let go of that, and you can start busting those comfort zones and doing things that you really thought you wouldn't do. So just coming back to my analogy, my husband and I talked for a long time about moving abroad. You know, it was always something we thought we might do. And 2.5 years ago, we made the decision that we were actually going to do it. And I couldn't actually see how it would manifest, but I started to take some steps to make it happen. So I became an EFT trainer because I thought, well, that way I can actually run training courses in different places in the world, and it's kind of condensed work rather than client work, which is more ongoing. I did training to become a yoga teacher, which I'll talk about another time. That pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. I still think there's a bit of me still there. So yeah, that challenged me a great deal. I was the oldest, the fattest and the least flexible on my training course, which was nearly all 20-somethings and 30-somethings. And then things just started to manifest. So I did some work. I visualised the house I wanted. I knew exactly how it was going to look and feel. And just a few months ago, just in June of this year, we came out to Spain. We'd done a few different trips. We knew the areas we liked. We came out, we looked at 15 houses and none of them were really quite right. And one of the agents said, I just had a house instruction 3 days ago. I think you might like it. I'll send you the pictures. She sent them. We came and looked at the outside of the house. We really loved the area. It wasn't actually the area we were originally looking at. We liked the outside of the house. She came the next day, showed us inside. We walked in, sat down, said, well, it's home. And everything, just the synchronicities were amazing. So a friend of a friend lives in the same area. I spoke to her, and she knows the people who live next door to us here. So she put us in touch with them. So we already had some contacts before we arrived. So there's just been loads and loads of synchronicities. You know, everything that's happened has just happened really easily and smoothly. And I really believe it's because I had such a clear image of what I wanted and how I wanted my life to be. And okay, I didn't visualise water coming out of the boiler and having no heating or water and things like that. But I did visualise having the time that I've got, the space, the countryside, the beautiful walking, the weather, you know, so I did visualise most of it. And it's really manifesting, it's really happening. But, you know, it was a massive leap out of my comfort zone, even though I'd studied Spanish for 18 months. You know, don't learn how to buy a washing machine or a bed in class. But it's okay, we're managing. And as I said before, the more we get out of our comfort zone, the easier it is to keep pushing it. So I'd love to know from you guys what you feel limited by, what you feel you can't do at the moment. So what's the thing that you're working on? What would you like to do that you don't feel you can do today? And then after you've done the tapping exercise and repeat it, I'd really recommend repeating it every day. After you've done that, I'd love to know if anything's different in a week or a month. So please let me know. Anyway, great to have you here. Thanks for being here. If you're on catch up, let me know you caught up with it too, and just leave a little comment. And let me know what you think of new hair. It's quite drastic. And I'll see you soon. I'll be doing more lives very, very soon. I'm going to do one about feeling separate, because that's something I've noticed so many people have that belief around being separate. Okay, see you soon. Enjoy your Saturday.